Hi everyone, my name is Zach and I'm the NYC Coding and Tech Tutor. And in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a submarine gem collection game in Scratch. This game is a little more advanced than the first two that you'll find in my series. This game requires you to have a little bit more of an understanding of coordinates, X and Y, and how the coordinates, the y coordinate increases as something moves up the stage and it decreases as it goes down the stage. And the x coordinate increases as it moves to the right and it decreases as it moves to the left. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in this tutorial, but if I were teaching or tutoring someone, I would first probably do like a much more simplified activity in order to make sure that they more fully understand how X and Y work in a coordinate plane and in Scratch. But you can also start to figure out a lot about how X and Y work in Scratch from just making games like this and jumping right in. So this tutorial is gonna go pretty fast because I think that you can just pause it and rewind if you didn't catch something. So let's get started. All right, I just want to show you what the game looks like when it's complete so that you know what we're building, and then we'll get to building it. So basically this is the game. Oops. I'm hitting spacebar, and every time I hit spacebar, the submarine goes up. Otherwise, the submarine falls. And every time I get a gem, my points go up on the top right. Now then, there's this other variable called amount of X to move things by. And the more that gets negative, so right now it's at -4. If it gets to go to -5, it will be more negative. But the more it gets negative, the faster that everything moves. So basically the point of the game, oh, boy, that was a rough one. Basically the point of the game is to get as many gems as you can before you crash into either a bomb or one of the rocks. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so here I am logged into Scratch, and I'm going to press create. And this is a new Scratch project. So I'm going to get rid of this sprite, and I'm going to go to backdrops and paint a backdrop. I only need this backdrop, and I'm going to put it in bitmap mode because I like to always draw in bitmap mode, especially with kids. And I'm going to do this fun thing. It's like two colors, darker to light. So let's choose one color. It's like let's choose it like a yellow color, and then another color that's like a blue color. And if we do this, cool, it kind of looks, this needs to be more yellowish though. Hope I'm trying to get it to look like it's underwater a little bit. All right. Let's see, maybe we should do like this. All right, cool. That looks pretty underwater. All right. So you've got this kind of color. And so and then you're gonna start your first sprite. Your first sprite is going to be a submarine. So I'm gonna paint a submarine. I'm gonna go into bitmap mode, and I'm gonna start. I can go back into regular color mode, and I'm gonna start with just a gray. So let's turn saturation all the way down, and then I just get shades of gray if I adjust brightness, and we'll do maybe a dark gray for this part of the submarine. Make sure to draw things right in the middle. Do not draw something up here. If you're zoomed in, you can't see. If these boxes look really big, zoom all the way out. In fact, you should always zoom all the way out. I wish that Scratch would always be zoomed out when you start drawing, and I wish that it would always be in bitmap mode, but it's not, so you have to make sure to convert to bitmap mode and zoom out. Draw things in the middle. If you don't draw things in the middle, then you're going to tell things to go to certain x, y coordinates, and they're not, and it's going to look like they're not going to the actual x, y coordinate. It's going to look like they're going like to the up up and to the left of the x, y coordinate, because it's deciding where to put things based on this point. So you need to really draw things in the middle. So I'm drawing this in the middle. And then I'll do paintbrush, turn my brightness back up, do yellow, and we're gonna do just some circles for the submarine. And then let's go brightness back down. Oops, saturation back down. We'll do a light gray, and we'll do like maybe just a straight line up and over. We'll switch back to regular brush. We'll do just a very dark gray. Do saturation all the way down, like a very dark gray. We'll put it like right there. There's my submarine. And he's actually a pretty good size. Actually, he needs to be a little smaller. So shrink him over here. I'll make him about 80, 70. Remember, things can look small when you're doing this stage here, because when you put it in full screen, they won't look as small. All right, so there's my submarine. And let's start writing scripts for the submarine. So I'm here, and I'm going to start with green flag. I want this submarine to make, I want to make sure the submarine always starts in the right location. That's a good way to, so think about how you want the game to start. So I want the submarine to start right there. So there he is. He's at negative 155 for the X number and -1 for the Y number. Now here's a chance to start thinking about X and Y coordinates. If you're in the middle, you're at 0, 0. If you increase upward, your y increases. If you so see how my y is like kind of close to 0 right now. If I go up here, my y is way higher. It's at 159. Now here my y again is close to 0, but if I go down, I'm at -153. So negative means lower than 0. Same for x. My x number is about at 0 right now. If I move to the right, my x number gets really big, 201. Now again, I'm back at close to 0. If I move to the left, I'm at -208. So that's way less than 0. Now if I move this way, my x and my y number both get big, because I've moved both up and over. If I move down here, both of my numbers are negative, because I've moved both left and down. If I move towards this direction, my x number gets big because I've moved right, but my y number gets really small because I've moved way down. And this is the opposite up here. Here I've moved way up, so my y number's positive, it's really big, but I've moved back a lot too, so my x number is negative. So anyway, I want my submarine to start right about here, and I'm going to use this block, which look, right now it has the right numbers in it. Usually it will just insert whatever numbers you are here at the present moment. That hasn't always been working. Sometimes there's a bug or something in Scratch, very minor bugs. And so sometimes you might have to manually enter these numbers by just putting something where you want it and then reading the numbers. All right, so the submarine is here. I want the submarine to start there, and then I want it to start drifting down. So I'm going to do a forever, and I'm going to do a change y by -2. So this means start here and then forever start sinking. And it's sinking. Okay? Now, how are we going to make the submarine not sink? Well, we're going to do another script. Looks like this. It's going to be when space key pressed, repeat 3 times change y, and you can play around with these numbers depending on how much you want the submarine to move upwards every time you push the space key. But I've done this, which I think is pretty good. Like if you wanted it to be a bigger jump, you could make this like 5, and now the submarine's jumping more. If you wanted it to be a smaller jump, you could also decrease this number. Now the submarine's jumping less. You can play around with these numbers. I like 3 and 15. So this basically says 3 times 15 increase the Y number or the up down number of the submarine by about 45 every time I press space. All right. So if I press green flag now, he's sinking, but I can make him jump back up by pushing my space key. All right, cool. All right, so that's the submarine. Now we got to draw our we're gonna create a game where we're gonna create a game where the submarine is not actually moving forward, but it's creating the illusion that it's moving forward. So we need to make the rocks. So let's make the rocks. So I'm going to go to paint. I'm going to go to, again, let's do some sort of gray color. And we're going to put in bitmap mode. And again, you want to try to draw this sort of in the middle. So let's draw a rock. I guess I can use regular brush. So let's draw a rock that kind of sticks down. Okay. All right, there's one rock. All right, I've got this is my first rock, and now I'm gonna paint 3 more that are different. So let's see, paint. Choose a gray again. All right, maybe this one's like kind of funky looking. Okay, paint again. Bitmap. Maybe this one's more like round looking. Okay. Oh, that's right. I forgot. So these 2 rocks are gonna be like coming down from the top, and this rock actually should come up from the bottom. Okay. Oops. Okay. All right, nice. I've got my 4 rocks. I'm gonna kind of spread them out a little bit. And let's make them all a little bit smaller. So maybe like 80. It needs to be a lot smaller, actually. Maybe like 50. It's space. Okay. And this guy can be like 60. Maybe he can be a little bigger, maybe 70. Okay, even bigger, 80. Okay. And this guy can be, let's try 60. Let's try 70. And he's pretty good actually. He'll stay the same. All right, there are my rocks. All right, now we've got to write scripts for the rocks. So the rocks are going to move as if, in order to create the illusion that the submarine is moving, but it's actually just the rocks that are moving. So I'm going to this first rock, and I'm going to do green flag forever change X, which is left, right, by -1, which is left. So if I press green flag now, this rock should be moving to the left. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just put all of the scripts into one rock and then just copy them into the other rocks because the scripts are, I believe, exactly the same. So, all right, so here's this rock. It's moving to the left. However, when it gets to here, I want it to disappear. I want it to start back over here so that I can just keep using this sprite to kind of continue the illusion that the submarine is moving forward. So when I press green flag, this rock is going to forever check if it is touching. Excuse me. This rock is going to forever check if it is all the way over to the left, meaning if it's X position. So this is a less than symbol. We want it to check if it's X position. So I'm going to the bottom to get this less than symbol. I went to operators to get this next block X position. This is a reporter block. This is a Boolean block. So this Boolean gives us true, false. This reports to the X, reports whatever the X position of the sprite is. So I want the Boolean block to tell me true, false is the X position of the sprite less than negative 220, which is means pretty far over to the left. If it is pretty far over to the left, I want it to set its X position back to the other side, which is maybe positive 220. We can play around with that later to see if that works. Let's see. So he's going over and boom, beautiful. All right. And one more thing. If this rock if the submarine hits this rock, I want the game to be over. I want everything to just stop moving. So for that, I'm going to do green flag, forever, check if it's touching the submarine. I should really name my sprites. So I'm going to go here and whoopsies, I'm building this. Oh, okay. I'm putting this in the wrong sprite, so I'm going to get rid of this. Let me give my submarine. I gave my submarine an actual name called Submarine. Now I'm going back to this. We can call this Rock 1. Rock 1. All right, again. For Rock 1, forever check if touching the submarine. If it's touching the submarine, control stop all. All right, so if I go here, I'm playing the game, which is not really a game yet. And if I bump into this rock, the game stops. Awesome. So let's try copying all of these scripts into my other 4 rocks. So I'm going to take this hand, I'm going to click it on the top of this, I'm going to drag, and I'm going to let go right here. Now notice how my hand has to be on top of the sprite that I'm moving it into. Otherwise, it won't actually go there. Like if I were to let go, like it might look like if I were to let go right now, it wouldn't go in. It has to kind of wiggle like that, and the hand has to be right on top of it. So I'm going to move this guy in, this thing in, and this guy in. Then I'm going to go into there. Now it stacks them, it puts them on top of each other, which is kind of annoying, but I spread it out so I can see them, and I press green flag. Let's see. That one restarts, and that one goes. Beautiful. All right, let's try that again with the other guys. Boop. This guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, this guy, this guy. Let's check to make sure I didn't mess anything up. Those look good. Oops, I missed one in here. Somehow I missed this, right? Okay. All right, they should all now move the right way. Oops. Okay, that one's moving, looks good. And if I bump these, good, that works. If I bump this one, it works. If I bump that one, it works. Awesome. All right. All right, next up. This submarine is going to collect diamonds as it's moving through the water. So let's find a diamond or a gem. Sprite actually has a gem for us, so I'm just going to choose that. If you go here and you type gem, or actually maybe it's crystal. Yeah, crystal. Type crystal. Here's the crystal. It's a little bit hard to see on that blue background. I'll switch to that one, which is purple. I went to the purple crystal by clicking costumes up here and just switching because this sprite fortunately has two different costumes. So I'm going to use this costume for the crystal. And what are these crystals going to do? Well, just like the rocks, they are going to slowly drift over, and when they get to this point, they're going to start over. So let's just rebuild that again from scratch. So again, for the crystal, we want the crystal. Oh, actually the crystal is going to be different than the rocks. Let me explain how. These rocks were all their own sprite. But the crystal, we're going to need so many crystals to appear that we're going to need to use clones. We're going to need to clone this crystal over and over and over again so that all the clones, instead of the actual sprite moving back, moving across the screen and then moving back, the clones will move across the screen. So how do we do that? Well, first we need to make sure that the crystal is actually creating clones. So we're going to do green flag forever. How about every second? Wait 1 second, and then create a clone of myself. All right, so it's going. Let's check this out. So it's creating clones of itself. And you can't actually see the clones because they're underneath, but it is creating clones. Oops. See, there's two clones. Oh, see, so it's creating clones, but they're not doing anything. They're just kind of being created right underneath wherever the crystal is at that moment. So we need to tell the clones to do something. For that, we use this block. When I start as a clone, whatever we put under here, you're telling you're giving commands to the clones instead of to the actual sprite. So if I put a move block here, it's not going to move the sprite. I mean, just to prove that, I can show you. Watch. When I start as a clone, move. Let's do move 50. Look, now then the clones will see. The clones are actually moving like over when they're created, right? But the sprite, this sprite isn't. Okay. I don't need that. Instead, I need when I start as a clone. When I start as a clone, I want the clones to pick a random height. Well, I want the clones to be all the way over to the side, and I want them to pick some random amount up, some random y value, because I want them to sometimes appear up here, sometimes here, sometimes here. So for that, we're going to do when I start as a clone, set y to a random amount. So I'm going to do this. This is a reporter block. This circular block is going to report a random number, which I can sort of define. So I'm going to do negative 160 to 160, which means like pretty much most of the y's, right? Actually, I think the highest y is about 180, and this is negative 180, but I'm doing it from about like here to there. So it's going to set y to that. So if I press green flag now, and I can see the crystals will just start kind of appearing like that. Okay, that's not quite what I want. I want them to be more over. So let's do also set x to, all right, all the way over is about 210, I believe. So let's try this. See where they appear now. Oh, I can go even further. Maybe 215. I don't want them to actually be touching the edge, because we're going to do something else about the edge. See, this also, they should not touch the edge at all. So this guy I'm a little worried about right here. He's touching the edge. I'm going to actually decrease this number maybe to like 50, because I don't want them touching the edge because of something I'm going to do later. Okay. All right, cool. They're doing good now. All right. Now this is kind of stupid that this guy, I'm still can see the original sprite, right? I don't need to see this thing. This is like I'm just using this to create the crystals that actually matter. So to make this not be seen, but the clones to be seen, I can add a hide at the beginning of the green flag and a show at the beginning of the when I start as a clone. If you don't add this show, but you only add the hide, the clones will be hiding because they'll be based off of whatever the original thing was. So now They're appearing, but I can't see the original sprite, which is good. Cool. Now I need the clones to start drifting like the rocks are drifting. So for that, we can add it right here because as soon as they get their starting position, they can start drifting. Let's do a forever change x by -1. So it's there they are. They're moving at exactly the same rate as the rocks because the rocks were also drifting at -1. All right. Now, when the clones, so the rocks I needed, since I was control, the rocks I needed them to actually go all the way back and start drifting across. I need when the rocks got to the edge, I needed them to go all the way back. But these clones are just continuously being produced, so I don't actually need them to like go back because there's just going to be more clones produced every second over here. So what I really just need the clones to do is disappear when they get to the other side of the screen. So for that, I'm going to do when I start as a clone. So in other words, whatever I put here is for the clones. I need all of these clones, which are already being created here, and which I've already given directions to here. These are like more directions for the clones. I need the clones to forever check if they are touching, this is a Boolean block, edge, touching the edge. If they're touching the edge, I need the clone to disappear, which is this, delete this clone under control. All right, so now we can watch, and these clones will, see, let's watch this clone right here. He should disappear as soon as he touches the edge. Now you see why I didn't want to touch the other edges, because they would just disappear. Like if the clones touch the right edge at as soon as they're up here, then they will disappear and your game won't work. So you need to make sure that they don't touch any other edge. They're only going to touch the edge, this edge. Okay, cool. All right, so then I need another when I start it. So now I need to make sure that submarine that they disappear also when they touch the submarine. So, oops, let's go back to the crystal. And again, I need, when I start as a clone, I need forever if, which we use a ton, which just means always check if. This is called an event listener in a sense. It's always listening for an event that is going to that it's always listening for an event, forever checking if something happens. All right, so when I start as a clone, forever check if touching, another Boolean block, touching the submarine. If it is touching the submarine, I want them to disappear, just like if they touch the edge, right? Delete this clone. However, I also want them to do something else when they touch the submarine. I want them to give me a point. So for that, I need a variable. I need to create a variable called points. So I went to variables. I clicked make a variable. You can see there's one variable already there called my variable, which you could use, but it's better to give your variables actual names. So I gave it a variable called points. Alrighty. And once I create a variable called points, I can do this, change points by 1. So now my points, which are up here, will go up if I touch these, and they also disappear if they touch the submarine. Cool. If you double click on points, you can make it like look a little better. I like it. I think it just looks better like that. Let me move it over there. All right. All right. So that is it for the gems. The last thing I need are the bombs. So the bombs are actually almost exactly like the gems, except for they don't give points when they touch the submarine. Instead, they end the game, and they're not going to be produced as quickly as the gems. There are going to be fewer bombs produced every So instead of every like 1 second, instead of every 1 second of a gem, instead of it taking every 1 second to appear, a bomb will take every whatever amount you want. I'm gonna do 5 seconds. Let me show you what that means. So first, let's draw a bomb. Paint, boop, paint, convert to bitmap. Let's draw a bomb, a little tiny bomb like this, with a little fuse like this. All right, there's my bomb. It's kind of like a apple, whatever. All right, cool. All right, so this little guy, let's keep it how it was. All right, so this bomb, I'm gonna shrink it a whole lot. Let's see, 50. All right, cool. All right, and now I can go back to my code, go back to my crystal. Shortcut for this is we're just gonna take all of these sprites, all of these scripts, and move them into the bomb sprite, which I should probably give a name. Bomb, okay. All right, so let's just give all my sprites a name. We can call this rock 2, rock 3, rock 4. Cool. All right, so moving or copying, I should say. I'm not moving, I'm copying. Moving all 4. Now if I go there, I should have all 4. All right, and we're just gonna make 2 changes here. It would be in the same, like, same. All right. All right, so right now they're exactly the same. I just like to have it for the sake of understandability. There. All right, now they are exactly the same, basically, right? Yeah, they're the same. All right, so the rock we said is gonna be created every 5. I mean, the bomb is gonna be created every 5 seconds. So I do wait 5 seconds. But this, if touching submarine, change points by 1, delete clone. No, no, no. We're gonna get rid of these 2, and we're just gonna do a stop all. So it's the same as if you touch a rock, the bomb ends the game. So let's see. Let's wait for the first rock. Oh, there's the first bomb. I will touch it on purpose to check it and see if the game ends. Boom, it ended. Awesome. All right. That is almost the entire game. However, there's one key thing that we're going to add now at the very end to make the game way more fun. And that is we're going to make the gems, the bomb, and the rocks gradually move faster and faster and faster as more and more time elapses in the game. So in other words, the goal of the game is to get as many gems as you can before you inevitably run into something, because everything's just moving so fast that you're going to run into a bomb or a rock. Okay? So let's do, now I just want to check one little thing here. You'll notice that when I'm pressing green flag, my points did not reset. So whenever we are changing variables that have nothing to do with a particular sprite, but just have to do with like the overall game, we usually put those scripts that change variables in the stage. So the stage is kind of like its own sprite. So if I click on stage, I'm just going to do green flag, set points to 0. So now when I press green flag, the points go to 0. Okay. So now to get back to what I was saying about making everything move faster, we need another variable called, now you can, I don't know the best name for this variable that is the most clear. So I'm going to give it kind of a long-winded name, but I'm going to call it amount of X to move things by. All right, you could also just call it speed variable, although that's a little bit unclear because it's not really the speed that's changing. It's just the amount of negative movement that X movement that everything's moving. So I'm giving this very precise but very ugly and long-winded name. Amount of X to move things by. Boom. That's a variable that I am going to use now. Where am I going to use that variable? Well, I'm going to use that variable every place where that where the X is forever changing something. So, or I'm going to use it in every sprite or every clone that is forever, whose X is forever changing. Okay, so in this rock, that would be right here. The X is forever changing. So I'm going to take that variable and I'm going to go right here, amount of X to move things by. Now X right now, this variable called amount of X to move things by is 0. So if I put this amount of X to move things by and then I press green flag, you'll see that this guy now is not moving at all. And that's fine for right now because I'm going to control this variable eventually. But right now, it's going to be 0 because I'm just testing it out. So amount of, all right, so let's do it here in this rock. Let's do it here in this rock. Let's do it here in this rock. Let's do it in the crystal, which is here. And let's do it in the bomb, which is here. So now if I press green flag, looks like my game is broken. Nothing's moving anymore, right? So that means we now need to somewhere set that movement. So let me go back to my stage where I started controlling, like resetting variables. And let's just set a starting amount in my stage here. So I'm at variables, and let's set this crazy named variable, which is already there, to -1, which is what it originally was, right? So if I do this, it's working again. But here's the fun part, and this is it. This is where the game becomes a real game. I do right here in the stage forever wait, maybe every 10 seconds or whatever you want. I'm gonna do every 10 seconds. This speed is going to increase, or this amount of X to move things by is going to actually not increase, it's going to decrease. It's going to get more and more negative by using this block. Change, not set, change amount of X to move things by an additional -1. So if I wait 10 seconds, you'll see in a moment that everything is going to start moving faster. There, you see everything started to move faster? And if I wait another 10 seconds, things will move faster again. Yikes! Woo. Okay, things just move faster again. And so the point of this game is to try to see how many you can get before it just becomes too hard to get things. Now, there's some things that you can do to make this game maybe not as hard. You can make the bombs smaller. You can make the rocks smaller. You can make the gems bigger. You can make it increase by a small, you can make it increase instead of every 10 seconds it changing by -1, you can make it change by like -0.5. So in other words, half an integer. Okay. So the point is, like, can you beat your high score? Who can get the highest score? Maybe have your friend take it and see if they can beat your high score. I'm doing pretty well right now. My score is at 45. But eventually it just becomes so hard, really, because the bombs are actually coming pretty infrequently. That's okay. You can make the bombs also, you can narrow the range, the Y range of the bombs. So right now some of them are appearing like really high up, which is like not really a threat. Okay, there, I died. So my score was 60. And that is the end of the game. So give it your best shot. Let me know what you think of this game in the comments below, and have a great day. Thanks again. I am the NYC Coding and Tech Tutor. I don't really know my name yet, but I'm the NYC Coding and Tech Tutor, and you can find more at codingtutor.nyc.com. You can find more great tutorials. Thanks. Bye.